What's up, bookworms? Welcome to episode 108 of the Cantina Book Club podcast, where readers can find interviews with authors of all genres. I'm Megan, self proclaimed content queen, here to bring you insights from the authors themselves. Each week features a Cantina conversation with an author. Sometimes they're returning guests, sometimes it's someone new. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out on an episode, and feel free to browse through existing episodes so that you can catch a previous interview about a book you finished. Today's episode features a chat with Abigail Owen. We're talking about her book, The Things Gods Break, that comes out on October 21st. That is a sequel to The Games Gods Play that was really popular when it came out, and I know everybody's cannot wait until The Things Gods Break comes out, and I'm telling you, from someone who's already read it and talked to the author about it, you will not be disappointed. Usually I try to be spoiler free for these conversations, but just given the whole premise of The Things Gods Break, it was almost impossible to talk about the book without spoiling anything. It was really difficult. We went back and forth about it. But so this is going to be spoiler filled. So I really do encourage you guys to hit pause, save this to your playlists, and come back after you finish the book. The interview will be here when you're ready. Just a heads up that I often use adult language to express my feelings towards these authors of their work, whether the characters need to get their shit together or I am saying what the fuck to the author for making me feel things. Just please be mindful around listening ears. And also, happy October for all those who celebrate the spooky season. Halloween is my favorite holiday, and all the episodes coming out this month are centered around books that fit that spooky vibe. So, books coming out this week, October 14th, The Goat in the Bedroom by Amy Award. For those of you who don't know her Cocky Kingman series, it's interconnected standalones following one family of hunky football players and their plus size FMCs. And The Goat in the Bedroom does not stray away from that. It's so cute, so enjoyable. I finished it in about 2 days. And it's always fun to revisit the Cocky Kingman family. One Killer Night by Chalita Pucci. The Man Next Door by Sheila Roberts. That is a kind of like a rom-com women's fiction spin on The Rear Window. And it was like cozy mystery. And I'm looking forward to speaking with Sheila Roberts in an upcoming conversation. So be sure to look out for that. The Betrayal by Heather Ogden, and Merry Christmas, You Filthy Animal by Megan Quinn. If you guys haven't picked up a book by Megan Quinn, she's always got these adult spicy romance books, but they're so hilarious. I don't know how she does it. And I'm really excited to go see her at a book signing later this month as well. And now a word from Crystal Hope, organizer of the Book Podcast Connection.
Hello, listeners. My name is Crystal Hope. I am the host of Must Love Books podcast and the organizer of the Book Podcast Connection. The BPC is a networking group of over 100 book-related podcasts, from fantasy to romance to horror and every genre in between. There are even podcasts for authors and writers. Check us out on Instagram at Book Podcast Connection or at www.bookpodcastconnection.com and discover your next bookish obsession.
But there you go. I really recommend that you guys check out the Book Podcast Connection and all those other bookish podcasts as well. And without further ado, get ready, grab your favorite drink. Here is Abigail Owen. Today we've got Abigail Owen. We're talking about The Things Gods Break. That's the sequel to The Games Gods Play that is coming out on October 21st. Abigail, welcome back. Good to catch up again.
Yay, so good to catch up with you.
I know I finished this book pretty quickly. It's adventure, high stakes, and you push our poor characters through it up to the next level. But I love the messiness of it, and I love just where you take the story. I did not know what to expect at all, but I loved every second of it. I'm excited to dig around a little bit deeper today.
Yeah, yeah. I'm really excited because, like, we've chatted about several of my books now, and so we always have such a great time talking about books, and you're the first person I'm talking to about this one, and so I'm like, "Ooh, I wonder what she
Yeah,
I wonder what she
yeah.
thought, what you liked."
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I know. I just remember, yeah, exactly. Like the couple conversations that we have. It's just like even just recently, just now we got like off topic.
Yeah, yeah, oh, yeah, we
We're
always
like, whatever. Let's go for it. So yeah. So if you could, I feel like this is a little bit tricky because I
This is a trickier book to talk about,
yes,
spoiling it because the
yes,
whole book basically is one giant
yeah.
spoiler.
It really is. So
Yeah.
we'll do our best here. I don't know if you have a pitch ready and raring to go that is spoiler free. If you can explain for people.
Sure. So I actually find it easiest to explain book 1 and then be like, "And book 2 takes off from there."
Yeah.
And basically, it's that in book 1 We have Lyra and Hades. Hades selects Lyra as his champion in the Crucible Games, which is a series of deadly games that the human winner of that, their champion god or goddess becomes the king or queen of the gods for the next 100 years. I don't want to spoil book one too much if somebody hasn't read it, but at the end of the book, there's a bit of a happy, and then our poor protagonists are separated. And yeah, because there's no way to talk about book two without knowing where they are. I'll tell you that they're separated with one of them in Tartarus.
Mhm.
And that's basically like I pick up exactly where I leave off in book 1, and then she's got to deal with the Titans who have been locked down there for millennia and for very specific reasons that make them incredibly scary, and she does have to deal with there's a whole new trials element to the book of her while she's trying to get out. There's certain tasks that she has to do in order to try to get out of there. So, yeah,
I know, very well done, and we'll you set the bar will be delicate from here on out,
it's
but
so hard.
it is because it is, like, definitely where if especially since paying close attention to book certain things in book 1 are very helpful when you're going into book 2. Because when I was going into book 2 and there was, like, scenes and I was like, "Wait, I don't remember that part," and I was like, "I don't remember this part," and then it also reminded me of one of your, like, Instagram posts where you just realized it was you were like, you missed something, and it was like
Yep.
a big plot thing, and you're like, "Fuck." And I was just kinda looking forward to it. I was like, "What is she talking about?" Because it was, like, that huge where you're like, "Oh, no."
Where's she going with it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one so what was fun with this one is that when I started writing the series, usually I plot out the whole series. I know vaguely what's happening in every book in
Oh,
the
is it
series.
gonna be a trilogy? Is it gonna wrap
It's a
up in the next
trilogy.
okay,
Yep.
cool, cool.
And yeah, so I'll definitely wrap it up with all the happies, mostly happies at the end of book 3. But this is the first series I've ever written where I started book 1 without really knowing where I wanted the full series to go. I just knew what I wanted for book 1 and was like, "You know what? I'm not gonna sweat it. I'm gonna just enjoy writing book 1 and I'll figure out books 2 and 3 later down the road." I wrote the very ending scene in book 1 while I was doing the first draft, and I wrote the end basically, and I went, "Oh, I know what I'm gonna do for book 2." And then called my editor and was like, "This is what I wanna do for book 2. What do you think?" And she was like, "I love it." And it meant that when we went back and did our edits, my I usually edit at least a couple times before I send to my editor, and then we do multiple rounds. So before we did while we go through and do our edits, we both kept where we were going with book 2 in mind while making sure so we laid a whole bunch of Easter eggs, and I set aside all these things where it was like this and this and this
Yeah.
that I wanna make sure that I touch back to and tie into book 2 very specifically. And then book 3 will be solving all the issues that basically books 1 and 2 together bring up. And so it made writing book 2 just the most fun, but also incredibly complicated.
I give you tons of props because at first it was like I take notes and stuff, and sometimes as I'm progressing through the story, they get a little bit more unhinged, and then they calm down a bit, and then they get more unhinged. I straight up have a "What the fuck, Abigail" in here. Like, just and it is, like, more sort towards, like, maybe the last quarter of the book, so not, like, the end, but, like, maybe
Yep.
that 70-60% between yeah, like, 70%. But I yeah,
Feeling I know what the fuck.
I can pinpoint it, like, after we're done talking, but oh, you it was a moment where you tugged at some heartstrings with certain characters after their relationship was just getting strong, and then you just said, "You know what? I'm gonna pull any and all the rugs out from under your heart," and I was like, "Oh, what the fuck, Abigail?" I think that's enough to go by. But yeah, it was so funny because I remember because it's like a first person POV and we're in the Lyras, and then we get a
Mhm.
little bit more of Hades. I don't think you
We
had
do.
POV.
I didn't have any Haiti
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, I wanna, like, explore besides how exploring switching back and because I think from books that I've read of yours before, you tend to stick with the for only one person, not really switching back.
It really
Or was
depends on the
the
series.
yeah,
With Liar's Crown, which is the other series that you've read, yeah, it's more primarily in Marin's point of view, and you just get of Revan here and
yeah.
there. With my dragons, it's dual point of view, and it's pretty
Okay.
50-50.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then you hopped back into that switch mode, but
Yeah, a little
yeah,
I
wanna
had to
explore how
for
that
book
went with
2.
you because I just I love it when you put, like,
s- brooding and lethal and like ruthless characters such as Hades, and we see like a more intimate point of view, and I felt for him, but I was also like, yes, yes, go through it. I was like, go through it. Be a squish. Get your heart
Yeah,
twisted up.
right?
Yeah, I love it.
The morally gray hero when he's a squish for the heroine is, like,
Yeah,
my favorite. It's my
yeah,
catnip
yeah.
in such a big way. Yeah, I definitely so I was very deliberate with Hades' points of view, and it was on purpose because you get to see more of his love story and find out that his love story, um, started before Lyra's did. And because of that and seeing his love story, I needed that to be from his point of view because if it was from her point of view, she already knows
Yeah.
where the ending is. And so you I wanted to see him all in all the feels as he makes that journey with her. And I think it made a huge difference to how the book worked. Just to have those especially those moments, but also what he's going through while she's struggling to get out.
It was like it was so once I caught on to what was happening, I was like, "Oh my god, this is fucking genius." I was just because it just book 1 is so different when you're going through book 2. Once you go through book 2, then you realize, like, what was going on behind the scenes, and exactly like you said, Hades, his love story is a little bit more sophisticated and starts earlier, we'll just say,
Yeah.
and it was just like, oh, it just also switched the power dynamic a little bit
Yeah.
because in book 1, Lyra's what the fuck?
Yeah,
She's
she's just on for the ride and
yeah,
trying to survive.
yeah,
Yeah, all
I
book 1. And book 2,
yeah.
you were like, "Oh, wait,
You're like
she's in the driver's seat now."
exactly, it
Yeah.
was amazing. Once I caught the hang of it, I was like, "Oh," 'cause there was, like, admittedly a little while when I was like
There's a
I was
learning
with
curve.
her, I
Yeah.
was with her, I was like, "What is going on?" But
Yep.
I wasn't, like, irritated, I was, like, appalled. I was clutching my pearls, "Wait a second." Like, I was
Yeah.
it's my reader journey, and then once I did, I was like, "OMG," and then I was like, "Okay, Hades, buckle up, buddy." Like, it was
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I put that poor god of death through it.
And so we got a bunch of new characters and a bunch of more of the lore. I
Yeah.
wanna dig into the research aspect of it and, like, how did I imagine maybe you were
Yeah.
like Charlie from Always Sunny in Philadelphia with, like, your board and strings attached and going like crazy, "No, I got it down." Because there's a lot of connecting dots and a lot of even with me writing my notes, I was, like, looking at my notes and I'm like, I write some things, like, several times just because it pops up back in the story, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah." Like, I just had to remind myself. I can't imagine how it was for you trying to keep track to write it to to tell the story to the reader.
This was by far, I think, the most challenging and complicated book I've ever attempted, and that's what made it so fun. I think I'm 55 books in at this point. So for
That's
me,
wild.
that's the fun is, okay, it's almost like a, "Okay, this is gonna be hard," and then it's challenge accepted. How can I make it this happen? And there were definitely two major parts to that. One was introducing all these new characters, and just like in book 1, we have a whole host of characters that I have to introduce. I did have to do a lot more research with this book because I knew the Greek gods and the mythology really well. Like for and it's not that I studied ancient mythology or studied the classics. I did study the classics. I had a technical writing background that was mostly rhetoric, and so lots of Plato and Aristotle, that kind of
Sure.
thing. But not actually a ton of Greek gods in there that I was studying. But I those stories for whatever reason have just really stuck in my head. So the research I had to do for book 1 when it came to the mythology element of it really was more little details, and I would say the more minor gods. Okay, who's going to be the barkeep at Dionysus's bar? Oh, Lethe, the goddess of oblivion. I was not super familiar with her, but those are like my little brushstrokes. So I didn't have to do a ton of research for book 1, but for book 2, I was aware of, like, your I would say your primary titans in the mythology, so Kronos and Rhea, and the stories behind them but for the most part, the mythology with the titans, they're more like backstory characters. So they're the setting up of how the gods came to be,
Yeah.
and then you don't get much more than that. You're like, "This is so and so's father and mother, and this is what they were the titan of, and now they're stuck in Tartarus." Like, it was just kinda it was that, and what was really funny is that during the research, I had to be really super careful because and I would try and be trying to look up, like, what their powers were, and I would get Rick Riordan's
Yeah.
Titans. And I'd be like, "No, definitely not that. I just want the antiquity stuff. What did it say in the original myths?"
Yeah.
Um,
I
and
that's
so
what I
and
imagined, how you just got pulled into so many different directions.
it's all over the place.
Yeah.
But really, there's not a ton about them. And just like with the Greek gods, there's some conflicting points because it was written by lots of different people over time. But
Right.
what that allowed me to do, though, was just make up whatever the hell I wanted and make sure I incorporated what I considered some of the cooler aspects of what was actually in the mythology. And especially because if you've read book one, I go off canon, like I go off script. And I try very hard to give little winks and nods to the people who are true antiquity buffs, who are true mythology buffs, to be like, I know I'm going off script here,
Yeah.
wink, wink, nod, come along for the ride. And so that just continues in book two. I'm totally off script in book two and just having so much fun. And
Yeah, I could tell you had fun with that.
and so because there's so many characters and they're all brand new characters, it's a lot of balancing out who gets introduced how. Like I didn't want a whole chapter of and here's so and so and this is what they look like and this is what they're the titan of and here's so and this is what they look like. This is the titan of so like because that could get pretty boring pretty fast. And in fact, I think I did write out a chapter like that, and then when I was going through and edits, like, I moved chunks so that I was
Yeah.
introducing a
That's
little
kind of a
further out.
smart way to do it, yeah.
Yeah, just to know that that was all in there, I just had to then move it around and separate it, and I think there's even one moment in there when I'm like, I have Lyra go, and I can't remember who they are, and I'm tired of trying to
Yeah.
identify these people. And
That's almost
so
your little wink too, and a way for readers
yeah,
to
like,
further
oh, yeah.
relate to
"Hey, readers, I'm
her.
gonna introduce more later. Give me a breath, like, I'm gonna give
Yeah.
you a breath. You
You're
need a breath."
I love that
Um
because she does seem a little bit snarkier, or we see her confidence bloom a little bit more in this
I
number
think it's a
2.
combination of she comes out of book 1, her curse is broken now, and of course, she's carried that her entire life, and she's finally feeling what it's like to be loved, and she made it through the crucible, she made it through alive, and that would also, I think, be a big confidence boost. I also think with where she ends up, she's Q universe, like, "What?
It what like, was it that's the first line of book 2, fuck the
Yeah, fuck the universe. I knew I had it in for me, but I didn't think it would be this petty.
Yeah. Like, I just see her looking around like, "Really?
What?" Yeah.
Like, really?"
And so she's definitely got a bit of a darker it's still her snark, it's still her, but it's a little darker because she's, "What the hell? Come on, give me a break here."
Yeah.
So, introducing all the characters and making sure that I grew certain relationships in certain ways and grew certain characters in certain ways, that's always complicated when you've got such a big cast, but also fun. Like, I knew exactly where I wanted to go with them. And I would say the more complicated element is, okay, hey, if you don't want it spoiled,
Yes,
stop here and come back in and you can put, like, the time
yes.
number on it. Come back at this time
Perfect. I feel like that's the way we're gonna have to do this to have a good
to
conversation.
have a good conversation, otherwise we're just talking in circles.
Yeah,
So, the time travel element of it is what was most complicated by
absolutely.
far,
Yeah.
because I didn't wanna go in completely chronological order, those time travel elements, because that's too easy. I wanted her to discover things as she goes along because she's figuring out what the heck is happening and that kinda stuff through those time travel elements. But we also that's when we see how Hades has known
Yeah.
her all
Yeah.
this time. And so the time travel elements, what I ended up having to do, because usually I write my books chronologically, how the book goes.
Yeah.
And I started out trying to do that. And I was like, I can't remember because I knew all the time travel elements that were going to be in there. They were already in my head, but I couldn't remember what I had said, what she already knew, like what had happened. So what I ended up doing was figuring out every single time travel element, only writing those scenes, and those were in chronological order, then putting them on index cards, what each one did, mixing them up in the order that I wanted them revealed in,
Yeah.
and then writing the story in between that of what's happening as she goes along in
Oh,
Tartarus.
that is so complex and sophisticated, and it was just like especially there's a couple scenes in there where she revisits more than once, and
Yeah.
I was like, "What?"
What? Who's back? Yeah,
And
yeah,
just yeah, and then some of the implications, like, towards the end, there were certain points once you realized, like, when it's the big overall picture of it and where
yeah,
her stories began, and it's all revealed where nothing we thought, even if we were like in the normal population, civilian population in the book, if
yep,
that's what we wanted to see ourselves as, we realize, "Oh, we got it all wrong," and so did she. And so
Yep.
not even like she's learning so much and she's even opened her mind. She was like, "Holy crap, it's all a lie." And
Yeah.
then when we get down to that moment and she's, "Are you serious?" And I was, like, right there with her. I was like, "Holy shit." And it was, like, poetic and a little tragic too,
Ah.
because
Oh, yeah.
this whole time, like, in the book 1, in her timeline, she's just that's such a big part of who she is and her experiences and her
Yeah.
longing, like, her sense of belonging, like, anywhere, or just her how she grew up with a sense of self and self-worth and figuring out how to deal with what she was given, the
Yeah.
found family, the group of ragtag people that she's, "Oh, like, I'll be your clerk," whatever, like, she
Yeah.
and then book 2, and we're slowly learning, "Oh,
Whole world's built on lies.
yeah, it's so wild," but I love that beauty of it where it's yeah, things are not as they seem, for the general population, but then once a reader realizes it's so personal for her. It is so
Yeah.
personal for her, and
She's so tied up in it.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
and I was there with her. I think I like Lyra is probably one of the more relatable characters out of a lot of books I read, just because she's so realistic about dealing with these outlandish situations that she finds herself in that she didn't necessarily have any control over.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's so funny to be, like, outside of the picture because it's, like it's so realistic where you're like, "Yeah, absolutely." So many of us would be like, "This is bullshit."
Like, "What the what?" Yeah. Oh, yeah. She calls bullshit a lot in this book where she's, "What the hell?" What's funny about her reactions is that so this Lyra is probably the character that is most me that I've ever written, just in general. I let her just fly with it. And so my reactions to trauma or traumatic situations tends to be into I go into what's called Bob I call it Bob the Builder mode. Can we fix it? Yes, we can. I don't take much time to emotionally process. I just go straight into fuck this and fix it mode.
Yeah.
Like and I she's the same way. I think that's where a lot of her relatable reactions maybe come from. And my editor frequently has to be like, maybe she has an emotional beat first. And I'm like, what? No,
Yeah.
like just fix it.
What did she say? Emotional beef?
An emotional beat.
Oh, beat.
Like,
I was gonna
take
say
one little breath of emotion for a second, and I
an
was like, her
emotional
emotion
beef.
is to fix it, like
Yeah, it would be her emotion is what the fuck.
yeah, and this? Okay, fine, I'll add it to the things I've gotta fix now, like
Yeah. No, it's funny when you say, like, when I thought you said beef, I was like, she's definitely got beef with a lot of what's
oh,
going
yeah, she has lots of beef. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, but I heart her for it because I
Thank
was
you.
just yeah, and I imagine it was tricky for you to, like, just explore her character journey, especially
Mhm.
when you're tackling it in a way that you haven't really done before. Just, like, how would you that's so crazy because it was just, like, with the flashbacks and seeing the bigger picture of it, and it was just because in a sense of, like, normal flashbacks in any type of other story, it's, oh, giving the reader background knowledge, but these are all things
Right.
that we know that had happened, and now we're
Yeah.
like, "Oh," and that's what bringing it back to Hades, that was like, "Oh, so his attitude is so much more explainable now,"
Yeah.
and just in general, where he was just, like, so confident but curious, and, like,
Yeah.
good kudos for him also, I'm like, I give him much more respect for just listening and going along with things and reluctantly trusting
This is how this is gonna
yeah, but I don't think if it was just, like, some Joe Schmo or some, like, normal person that he didn't have budding, like, feelings for, he would have dismissed it. He would have
Yeah.
but no, he was just like, "This is this curious person, this stubborn woman who I can't help but feel something towards," and so even one of he's, "What am I doing here?"
Yeah. Yep. It was interesting to explore both of their character arcs in that way because they both do go through the same all these experiences, but they go through it in a different order. So,
Yeah,
like, in his life, he's experiencing all of that chronologically, and her life is like you said, those flashbacks aren't flashbacks. This is her experiencing it and figuring it out as she goes out of order
yeah,
and being like, okay, wait, what? Let me piece that together with what I learned from this moment that I went to. And that I think would be such an incredibly different experience. His experience is just full of frustration and what the and who is this and why am I feeling these things and should I even listen to her?
yeah,
And her experience is okay, I know the ending, I just have no idea how we got there.
Yeah, yeah, and it was just towards the end when she, like, slowly starts to realize what's happening, then she's just oh my god. I can't imagine the weight on her shoulders of not just what she finds out that she, again, has to go through these tasks and
Yep.
it's up to her, and now she, like, realizes it's not just, like, tasks, but that it's also other things outside of these tasks, and I just imagine, like, the weight where she's just, "Oh god, if it's what I'm doing right? Is this what I have to do?" That's why I'm like, I give her kudos and you kudos for creating her because I joke about this all the time. I would be such either, like, a boring or, like, unbothered character where I would just throw my hands up at the
Well,
first
this is what
thing,
happened,
like
right?
so maybe me just not doing anything means is why it's gonna happen that way. Like what like I would just I don't know. I don't know. I would like to think that I would take a little bit more initiative or be a little braver or be a little bit more confident. And but yeah, it's again exploring her journey. It's yeah, she goes through these changes and now she has more confidence in herself. But even if she's thrown in an entirely new situation, she doesn't know what's going on. Oh, and I definitely we can't talk about this without the fact that Boone's with her.
Yeah.
I have notes where I'm like, Boone has had enough, but it's hot. It's just like frustrated Boone, suspicious Boone, I'm into it. I'm into
You're here
it.
for that?
Yeah.
Yes. That was so fun to write because in the first book, while he's this incredible master thief, he's also just this goofy guy, if that makes any sense. Like he's definitely the foil to Hades' like dark and brooding. And so we get to see Boone be a little bit broody and yeah, he has his own what the fuck moments.
Yeah, or he's just it's awesome because it's not it's that also exploring further exploring that, like, platonic intimacy, like,
Yeah.
that because of course it's yeah, of course nobody's gonna replace Hades, and she constantly refers to him as my Hades,
Yep.
and but then it's she's also got this incredible, like, affection and appreciation and care and platonic love towards Boone because he has
He's
they
been her constant.
exactly, and even though
Yeah.
she was, like did feel that non-platonic way towards him, like, them getting past that awkwardness in the first book of being like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't feel that
It's
way."
not how it is. Yep.
Yeah, and she's, "No, I got it, okay?" You're just integral to me getting through this, and then he's rooting for her, and the rest of the way through, the rest of book 1 and then in book 2, he's got her back,
At all times.
and he's even then, he's, "No, you don't have to do this alone." He's like, "What?" And she's
He
it's really
keeps trying to get in the way. I'll tell
yeah,
you
he's
what.
a
He's
little
like
bit.
and she's like, "Quit it."
Yeah, it's such a tricky, like, tightrope situation where he's, "No, but I wanna make sure you succeed," and she's, "But what if you're the reason that it's, like, complicated?" And then
Yes. Yeah, because you find out that he's a complication that nobody anticipated, um, which makes that dynamic interesting for I think for all of them.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I did consider when I first started writing the book, I considered making him a true secondary love interest. Like, I considered making it like a full triangle, but I don't tend to be a fan of triangles. And they can be pulled off really well. I don't think
Right.
I'm the person to do them because I don't like them necessarily. I always feel like it makes the person making the decision between who they're picking to be very wishy-washy. And it's what's funny is that's a very natural human place to be
Yeah,
in.
'cause I feel
I've
like it
just
does come obvious, like, who's the main
yeah, who
one.
do you like? And I
Yeah.
tend to be an incredibly decisive person, and so I think that's partly why it personally irritates me to be like, "Just
Yeah,
pick one and stick with it." Like, good
yeah,
grief. And debated it, and particularly with the way the book starts and where there's questions about what Hades knew, what he didn't knew, what his
yeah.
actual goals and motivations were. Because let's be honest, through book 1, he kept a lot of secrets, and we thought she knew them all, and she didn't. And so, there's a lot of questions, and that could easily have driven her into, I think, a more romantic look with Boone, but to me, yeah, he's more like the best friend who's just has always been the only steady thing in her life,
Yeah,
even when they weren't all that close. He's the only one who treated her with any kind of
yeah.
kindness or respect,
Where
even
he,
when
like
she was
he
cold.
yeah, it, like, clicked even though he was still like, alright, she didn't wanna talk to anybody," like, she
Yeah, I used to wanna talk to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be mean to her, and he's one of the
Yeah.
few people that chose not to do that, and then it was fun, it was like, "Okay, if I'm not gonna make him the secondary love interest, how is this dynamic gonna work?" And that made that, for me, just really pleasurable to write them together,
'Cause he
and all of
Boone
that
this is, like, one of the first stories that I've had where it's a sequel, but then it really is you gotta be quick careful. It's like, you gotta be careful because the whole plot line of the book is one big spoiler.
Spoiler. Yeah,
And it's
the entire thing. Yeah, when we were trying to write that back cover blurb, we were like, "What can we say?" And I was like, "I guess we could hint at the time situation, but do we?" Like, 'cause
yeah. It's I just imagine with so many even, like, when you see, like, these multi-book series of especially when it comes to fantasy, where there's suspension of disbelief and you have
Mhm.
to immerse yourself into the world building, and it can be tricky. I totally appreciate that struggle. I respect the struggle, but then
Yeah,
it's on your end, you guys are like, "Wow, what are we gonna do?"
yeah.
Like
Because like, people ask me all the time, they're like, "Can you give us any hints?" And I'm like, "There'll be a cliffhanger.
yeah, I know, right? I was like, "Yep."
It's book 2."
And then that's, like, also, not that's not something exciting, and it is,
Yeah.
but that's the first thing they hear.
Well, and it's funny because I would say that the story itself stands on its own. If you didn't read book 1, you could read book 2 and totally just get book 2. I don't know that you would get as much of the emotional impact of it not having not known what
It
they went through together.
seriously, yes,
And
because it was because there were so many things where she revisits ideas and she's, "Can I change this?"
yeah,
And it's
that
so
you think is
heartbreaking.
set in stone where it's like,
Yeah.
this is, and it's like, "Well, it might not be this."
But then those are just moments where we get more insight into her character. What's her biggest desires? Of what does she wish? Of course, what's the big question? If we could go back in time and change
Yeah.
this
What
one
regrets would you
thing,
change? Yeah.
yeah. And then it's and she lives that, and she's just,
Yeah.
what if I can do something? Because we learn it's a little bit, it's more complicated. That it's not as simple as just going back in specific moments and seeing things or whatever. And but it is like she with the people with the craziness of time it you could play around with it for sure. You just have to be consistent. It's
Yeah,
like just
yeah.
you as the author in general, like when authors like dabble in time travel, it's fun
Oh, it's
and it's
fun, but
complicated,
it's
but
so
it's you
complicated.
have to be consistent. You just whatever rules you make up, you
These are the rules. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And I was very deliberate that especially with my rules, that she could break things if she did too much when she goes back in time, because I didn't want it to be something where she was then just fix it when you go
yeah,
back to this moment. No, you can just reset everything and you have to start all over from scratch. But also that she can't go to the future to ask herself how she fixed it.
yeah,
That was also very deliberate. I wanted to make sure that she had to go on the journey,
yeah,
and not especially with world building and magic systems in general, not just time travel, but, like, all magic systems. One of my favorite things to do is give very hard limits and consequences, because if you do that, then you don't get a, "This person just has to snap their fingers and they can
right.
make everything what they want all in one shot." There's it just that makes it too simple. You
Yeah, it doesn't yeah, the stakes aren't as high if we're like,
yeah.
"Oh, they could just go do
You could
this."
just do this. Why
Yeah.
didn't you just do this? Yeah, and yeah, I try to I find that yeah, that combination of consequences and hard rules that helps with that.
Yeah, and it's also kind of something to be said about the fact that
There is an ice cream truck going down my street. I
it's
haven't
okay,
seen an ice cream truck in
that's so funny, and I'm
alright,
just
it's not
like,
an ice cream truck, it's Alexa, hold on. Alexa, turn off alarm.
you got so excited, you're like, "Is that the ice
I was
cream
like,
truck?"
I almost abandoned you to run out there and get some ice cream.
I would not have blamed you. I would not have blamed you at all. I would have been like, "Go do it. Take
Joy of
advantage of
childhood
that."
struck in,
I
like,
know.
one all like, "Ice cream truck. Do I have a
Wait a
dollar in my"
second. Do you take credit?
probably like $10 these days, but yeah.
I know, or a minimum charge or whatever, but okay, just like popsicles for everyone. That's so funny.
Yeah.
That is hilarious. I love that. Yeah, I know. I was like, now that I was like, now that you think of it, like, yeah, I haven't heard that in
And
15 years. Like,
ages, yeah, now I really
summer.
wanna go find me an ice cream
Yeah.
truck. So anyways,
Yeah.
I got us off track.
We got off track talking about ice cream. I knew it was gonna
We're like,
happen.
"Ice cream truck, wait, not an ice cream just
Wait, what? Squirrel.
gazillion Alexas in it." Yeah, seriously, my ADHD.
It's all good, it's all good. Oh, speaking of oh my god, I loved that I love what you did with Cerberus in this one. The fact that he was originally, like, an emotional support dog, I love that. I was just like I was sitting there, like, kicking my feet, like, a little it just me being like, "Oh my god, baby boy Hades," and, "Oh my god, puppy," and as again, Lyra was like, "Can I pet that dog?"
Yeah, I don't know, I've got a thing for murder pets, but I was like, "Cerberus as a puppy." We gotta see it, especially because since he's with Hades at the beginning of the book, so he's not in Tartarus, there was only so many scenes that I could slot him into. We'll see him a lot more in book 3, but I was like, I've gotta make these scenes count. So what can we show of Cerberus that will really give the readers a kick? And I was like, "Oh, puppy Cerberus."
I just love because she even, like I was Lyra in that moment, in that stretch of pages
Yeah,
where I was like,
puppy.
"Oh, puppy!" And then Hades is looking at her like
You know what he is, right?
and of course, Cerberus, like, little tough guy, like, tough guys, and he's just, "Hey."
You just picture him being like,
Yeah, like a little ankle biter, like, what
"Yes."
but the fact that I just that he was originally, like, an emotional support dog, I that is so perfect.
Yeah.
That was so perfect, and again, we all love Cerberus, but the fact that he was such a big component into Hades' life that we're getting insight into, I loved it, but now that I'm like, "Okay, that makes so much sense. That makes so much sense." That's what you decided to do with your world, based on this lore, and I was like, I love it, like, 10 out of 10. It was like
Thank you.
I was just like, again, I'm a sucker with any pets, murder pets included, but I was just it
Same.
was so fun because I remember when we talked about it in the first one where we were like, "Cerberus!"
Where's the puppies? The puppy
Yeah.
okay. Yep. Yeah, I didn't realize I wrote so many murder pets until I got to games, and I was like, "Oh, you have to put Cerberus in there, like, you have to," and I was like, "Okay, new another murder pet, here we go."
I know, right? It's so
I
no,
think,
I
like,
just
my 3rd or 4th murder pet, like, I'm into the murder pets.
hey, I think you should not shy away from murder pets. I think they add a little something extra and also for readers to relate to, where it's like a little furry companion.
And to me, it's also almost I think we love them for the same reasons why we love the morally gray hero, is that they could kill somebody and will if they go off the rails, like, they're very dangerous, they're murder pets for a reason, but they're a squish for their people.
Yeah.
And I had a dog like that, I had a big 100-pound German Shepherd that really would have taken people out, like, if I'd ever let him get anywhere close to them, I just kept him very separated from other
Yeah.
humans. He
Yeah.
was a squish for me, like, he was a lap dog as far as I
Yeah.
was concerned, but I think that very much reflects why we also like the morally gray hero. It's this very powerful, very dangerous person who will be a total "Grim pet my belly" for
Yeah. Again, I think that's, like, also a reason why Lyra comes into her own because she's yeah, like, I'm his boo thing. What are you gonna I'm queen of the underworld. What are you gonna do? That's, like, also adds to her. It reminds me of I think I saw you comment on, Kate Ballinger's series of The Original Sinner and book her because I've interviewed her, and I'm gonna see her next week at Smut Lovers. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I love that series.
Yeah, but no, she reminds me like, she does similar things with Lucifer's a Squish, like, for his woman. Where like, just some of the things where it's just so funny the liberties that she takes. Book 2 is so much it's just
Especially because she's
funnier.
figuring out that she can't yeah, like, she really that's the fun part about exploring a character dynamic or a relationship
Yeah.
dynamic like that in a 3-book series
Yes.
because you have all this time to see how those dynamics flip and how you put them on their heads, and then it's not just, "Okay,
Yeah.
this powerful dude fell and that's it." Like, no, no.
Yeah. No, it's like now you guys gotta figure it out together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But also just, like, some of the things where he's still, like, both like, Hades, you could tell he's still ruthless. It's not like she changed him, it's just like he discovered, like, a new role for himself. He discovered
yeah.
how he is in
She
this
gave him, I think, permission to be um, more confident than he was so in book 2 or book 1, he's very confident because 'cause you're seeing Hades at that point in his life, but in book 2, you find out that, yeah, his background's not quite what you think it is,
right.
and she's the first person to really be like, "You're gonna be okay,
Yeah.
and you're gonna figure it out," and I think that made a big difference to him, in how he grows, but I think it also then speaks to why he is a squish for her because
He never he never really had that someone who explicitly stated,
yeah,
"You're gonna be good. You're
yeah,
gonna be fine. You can do it." Like, nobody else has really instilled that reassured him like that.
yeah.
Everybody else is just, like, keeping an arm him at
"Please don't
arm's
kill me."
length.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which makes so many of the interactions that we see in the flashbacks a little bit more heartbreaking, like with his family members and especially with his
Mhm.
mom. It's just I don't know, something about because I have 2 the only kids I have are boys, so I
Yeah.
only know, like, mother-son relationships.
Yeah.
So, like, I my heart broke during some of those parts where it, like, or the heartstrings tugged a little bit stronger where I was like, "Oh, it's okay." It's 'cause, like, I get it. I get how everyone reacted at that point, but it
Yeah.
doesn't make it any less heartbreaking.
For him.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, for everyone. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I know somehow we managed to make a great conversation with them teetering on my little minor spoilers, or we
Why
just
not
got some,
yeah,
like
there's no way to not spoil this book while talking
it
about it.
really there's really not because it's just no, even then I was like I read book 1 and I was so excited about book 2, and then when I read book 1, I was like, even midway through, I was like, "How are we gonna talk about this?"
Yeah.
I was like, "How are we gonna talk about it?" Because it was but
I'm like,
it's in the best way.
shenanigans, and she has to get out.
It really yeah, because, oh, there's so many more like, more characters. It's funny because the only thing I didn't know much about Greek mythology, Roman mythology, whatever, because you
Yeah.
did add I love that's one thing I also loved is that you played around and inserted other religions or, like, other lore.
Mythologies.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
other okay, how many gods of death are there? Like,
Yeah.
I love that. That is so cool. So that was, like, part of your research, or did you have that plan, or were you just it just happened? I don't know.
It's so I definitely had it planned. I had it planned after in book 1, I had hinted that all the other mythologies that if the Greek gods are still alive and well, so are the other mythologies. And that's why like her axes have Norse iconography on them, Odin gifted them, etc. So I had hinted at that in book 1 and had so much fun with that that I was like, "Oh, I really want to bring on more of that in book 2 and then maybe even more in book 3, I think." I'm probably going to explore that even further. But I wasn't entirely sure how I was gonna do that. And then when I wrote the last fight scene that's in there, my last battle scene, I was like, "Oh, I this will be really fun if I do it this way." And then that allowed me when I was going back through with edits to go back and add other layers of them in different ways because I knew where we're gonna end up. Sometimes get things get added afterwards where you're like the butterflies in book 1 didn't get added until I got to that scene where they talk about we're not butterflies to Hades, we're eternity, and I was like, "Oh, to be everywhere."
I know, yeah, it was like a little, like, callback, and it was just
Yeah.
like, "Oh, what are you doing?" Like, I feel like you were just like, "Oh, where's the moment for break hearts?" Like, to break
Yeah.
hearts.
Yeah.
Like, any
I do
opportunity you could, like, tug on our heartstrings, you did it.
I tried very hard, and so far the reviews that I've seen coming in, apparently there's a lot of crying at the end of the book. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say sorry, not sorry, because it was like, I don't know, I think towards the end with, like, the during the events that lead up to the cliffhanger, I don't think I was like I wasn't so upset because I was like, "Ugh, they'll figure it out." I
Yeah.
was like that's kinda how I was like, "We're just gonna wait until book 3, they're gonna figure it out." I was just it was still, "What?" But then I was like, "Okay," 'cause, like, maybe it's partially Hades' attitude towards it. But it was more so, like, the heartbreaking points leading I guess maybe you had desensitized me throughout the whole book, where I was like, by the time it happened, I was like, "Oh, they got this." It's not any worse than us watching Hades get his heart broken or just
Poor
not
guy.
heartbroken, just, like, heart confused. Just kinda strung along and
That poor
yeah,
guy.
yeah. It's like, "Poor guy, but that's what you get." I don't know, like, welcome to mortal life, like, welcome to
Seriously.
whatever, like, human emotions, right? Like, welcome
Yep.
to human emotions. It's just like, again, that's how it reminded me of, Kate Ballinger series 'cause it's you're experiencing love
Yeah.
and
Oh,
and, like
this is feelings, isn't it great?
where he was like I don't know if I'm spoiling no, book 2 just came out, but I don't know if you've had a chance to follow along, but it was just where
I get to read those behind the scenes.
perfect, yes, because one of the things that was hilarious was he was like he's, like, racking his hair, and he's, "What do I do?" And he's pacing back and forth, and he's asking the priest, like, "What do I do?" And he's, "Are you asking me to absolve you?" What
Uh,
like, he doesn't know what to do, and I'm like, that's why it reminded me of Hades, like, seeing that unfamiliar side of him, seeing that
yeah, where it's like,
vulnerable
"What do
side of
I"
him,
yeah.
yeah, I love
Well,
it.
and I will say she puts him in some impossible positions where it's, "Do I trust this person who I barely know?" And
Yeah.
yeah,
It
um,
really yeah.
or
She
do I
had
go the way that I feel like I should go? And it's throughout, like, even how he's handling her in current day and the situation she's in. Yeah.
it Yeah.
These are impossible situations.
It really is. Again, that's why I would be, like, such a boring, like, book character, unbothered, because 'cause I'd be like, "That's not my problem."
You're like, "Yeah, that's somebody else's."
Right? I know what I gotta do. I don't know
Yeah.
what I like, is that whatever
I'm
my
gonna find
siblings
me one
got
of the rooms in Tartarus and just hunker down.
or, like, whatever they got going on,
Let me know when you get out.
yeah.
I'll follow behind.
Oh my goodness. I know, it was like and it was I feel like if I keep, like, talking about every single thing that I would have questions on, it would be like a 4-hour conversation, but I know I feel like you're planting things that I'm knowing you that we'll see again in book 3 because there were a couple things where I was like, "Oh, we gotta revisit that," or she's setting up Medusa, I'm in particular. Don't spoil it for me, but that's one of the things that come to mind where I'm like, "No, she's gonna show up again. She's gotta.
Oh, yeah.
She
Yeah.
gotta."
She was one of my favorite little, because she's not in it a lot, but she's one of my favorite. Medusa's one of my very favorite myths, and I very much feel like there's been some really good kind of modern retellings or modern takes on her, but I would like to do a take on her where she actually gets a little bit of revenge and gets a little of and so I was like, "You know what? Let's just introduce her in this one, and then I'll play with her either in book 3 or maybe in a spinoff."
Mhm.
And but she's yeah, and I had so much fun with her. Like, I was like, "Yes."
The small part that she has, she makes such an impression. And I'm always a proponent of female rage. I'm like, "I don't
Yep.
care if you're wrong, go get it." Like,
Go get it. Yeah. Yep.
I'm just gonna always support, encourage female rage because it's in general, I love men, but, like, sometimes most of the time they're trash, and it's upsetting. But yes, and in Greek mythology, famously, it's
Yes, they are
yes,
terrible. Yeah, and
very problematic.
she's I think is definitely gonna be one of those characters that's, "Oh, Hades, you thought you could burn down the world? Hold my beer."
And it's yes, Lyra has to be the one to be like, "No, we got you, girl." We try to, like, ease into that, get her on our side, but I love how she was just like, I'm not gonna talk to him, but I'll talk to you." Like,
Yeah. I'm sorry, I have a hard time listening to men. That was one of my favorite
and
lines in it.
yeah, and
It made
Boone's
me laugh
just
out loud when I was typing it. I was like,
I imagine, I love that. Yeah, that was more of the funny parts because it was like, of course, we all know how terrifying she is, but then just again, another scene of where Boone's
"Oh, Daphne, are you talking to this?"
yeah. He's, like, trying to be like, "No, what are you doing?" And she's not
Trust
interested
me.
in you. Yeah, you're not your opinion is not you're just
Yeah,
bye.
you just speak in this situation.
Oh my god, I love it. So we I feel like we talked about this, like, almost the whole time, but I do wanna, like, touch on it just in case you had
Yeah.
anything to add. What were the most, like, challenging and enjoyable parts about this time around?
So I would say that the most challenging part was just the layering the book in a way that covered all the elements, particularly those time elements, just so that the story is one that's digestible, but the reader's discovering it as Lyra's discovering it as you go. But that also then made it the most enjoyable part of it. After I finished, I was like, "Damn, I did that." That was so it
I'm
was
a
like
rock star, I could take on the world, like, yeah.
yeah. I don't know if I wanna do that with every book just because that really did it was a brain teaser. I was just constantly like, "Yeah, is this right?" And second guessing myself but so that was both the hardest part and the most enjoyable part was putting all that together. I think also just being able to continue to explore that relationship from such a unique, true story to it
Yeah.
and progression to it of, "Oh, this adds a whole 'nother layer to who they are as a couple, and particularly to Hades." That was so fun because I had all of that in the back of my head when I was writing book 1, but of course, I don't know like, I'm both a plotter and a discovery writer at the same time, so I discover a lot of that as I go, so it was fun for me to be like, "Oh, yeah, and then there was this moment, that's what he was doing, okay."
That I love talking to
Yeah.
authors about that because 'cause they're like, "Oh, I did not plan for my character to be a dog owner, but a dog showed up and it just
Yep,
felt right."
and yeah,
Yep.
exactly, exactly. And that is definitely one of the fun parts of writing is somebody who does plot heavily, I still surprise myself. There are still these moments where I'm like, "Oh, that. Okay, let's see how I can that's awesome. Now what do I do?"
Yeah. You're like, "Wait, I wasn't planning for this, but this is what gonna happen. This seems
This is what's
right."
gonna happen. Yeah.
I know, I
Yeah,
love
what
it. Like, your
happens with Boone
characters
in
are
book
talking
1
to
was one of
you.
those moments.
I know Boone, him and Persephone. I was like, I think I even have it in my notes where I'm like, enemies to lovers, I'm calling it. I was just even just like the reaction that she got out of him, and then the little
Yeah.
interactions as soon as she
It's
showed
so
up.
not Boone, right? Yeah.
Yeah, where he's just and then once she learns more information, but it was so cute. I love how you describe Persephone. I love how like Lyra's perception of her, she's so perfect. Fuck her. Like
Fuck
and
her.
then
Yeah, it's one of those girls.
and so she even like her looking confused and distasteful, like
It's
even
still
is cute.
adorable.
Yeah.
Golly.
No wonder she had such a strong impact on Boone because he was so mad that she affected him that way. And
Yeah, and also, like, they've got their own story,
mm,
obviously, and she was fun to write because I wanted her to both be this she's the goddess of spring, and I've seen a lot of people write Persephone as almost like a brat, because in the true mythology, she does come off pretty much like this brat that's, "I'm gonna eat these seeds anyways, screw it," and then being like, "Oh, how did I get myself into this terrible situation?" And it's I wanted her to very much be, again, a foil to Hades, who, if she's, one of his favorite people, most of his favorite people, Cerberus and Charon, are, I would say, equally, sarcastic and powerfully dark. Like,
they
they
can
can
hold their own.
and hold their own, and
Yeah.
she's so different from that, and I wanted that to be very true, but also because Lyra continues to have questions about that relationship, I wanted it to be one of those okay, I'll give a very specific example. So my husband and I we were on one of our very first dates. We went to the movies and saw I'm not gonna say what movie. It was like a rom-com kind of movie. And as we're watching it, there's a secondary character on the screen who's one of the neighbors and has like several lines. And about halfway through the movie, he goes, "Oh my God, that's my ex-girlfriend." And I'm sitting here on a second date with this guy going, "Of course your ex-girlfriend is on the screen with Brad Pitt." Yeah. Yeah, and I was like, "I wanna put that energy into Persephone and how Lyra is perceiving her as she's so perfect, of course she's so fucking perfect."
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Was this like what, 20 years ago or like 15 years
This is
ago?
25 years ago? Yeah.
So you don't have to share, even if I'm gonna edit this out, you don't have to share anything more than what you're comfortable with. But so 90s or like approaching 2000s or
It would have been
2010.
at that point early 2000s, yeah.
Okay. Is this person, this ex, is she still working?
No, so she's just had as far as I know, that one role, she might have had some other roles, but it was just one of those moments where it's like,
That's an L for him. Why would he
how
say
am I
that?
supposed
Thinking
to
it was
say
gonna
that?
impress you?
I think he was just shocked. Now, what makes it even funnier is that I knew her. I'd gone to college with her, and I was like, "Oh my god, you're right. That is her."
Okay.
And I
The
so
way
I
I
not
was
only
gonna
do I
say you should
know
have led with that, but the way you delivered it was perfect. That was
yeah, and not only did I know her, but that meant that I knew her personality. She was one of those people that she was like a nuclear physics major and,
Oh,
like,
so yeah, she's
tall and
beautiful,
gorgeous, and she
smart,
was one of those people that was
perfect.
super nice to everybody. There's nothing wrong with her. In fact, she's just as and I was like, "I don't I okay, how do I compete with that?" Like, you can't. I
Apparently
really
you
wanted that
could
energy.
because he went to you and he stayed with you. So
Yes, yeah, he did, yeah.
just know that in this pie of the slice of pie in your life, you
Yeah.
won.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just and so, yeah, I absolutely was like, "Oh, this has gotta be the energy that's how Lyra's perceiving it." Even though she's like, "He told me it's this, but look at her."
I know, yeah, no, I could totally see that where it's just I discuss this with authors and their some of their character like their character descriptions and whenever there's the romance and describing that and it's just there's that little insecurity I think that I just in
Yeah.
general not even just women, like men can get
Oh,
insecure too
everybody
when
that yeah.
they're like, "Oh, like, why this is what they were able to score that,
Yeah.
what chance do I stand?"
What am I? Yeah.
But it's just like it's you're inadvertently comparing yourself, but then it's no, like, you are what they
Yeah,
want.
they didn't work for a
You
reason, and it had nothing
yeah.
to do with yeah, like I said, she's just super nice,
So
really
you can't
awesome,
even
and
hate her. You're like
I didn't even hate her. I'm like, "I know her." It's like she's she's a good person. And so it was more like they just didn't work as a couple, like they just didn't
yeah, which
fit.
is
For the
totally
same reason I've
normal.
had ex-boyfriends that,
Yes.
that didn't work out. It's not anything against them. It's just that no, this wasn't quite how we
And you
click,
could
and my
be
husband and I fit so well.
I love it because he could be
Yeah.
objective too. Yeah, she's beautiful, but
Yeah.
you're my person. I would fucking move the world for you. What are you why are
Yeah.
you even worried? And you're like, "Have you seen her?"
She's on the screen right now in a major motion picture. What the hell?
I love it. I love that you were, like, maybe a little bit channeling that experience
Yeah,
into
I was
Lyra,
definitely
like
channeling that, yeah. And I will say with Persephone, I also want I I want the reader to question her. Is she this perfect? Does she have other motivations? How did she get down here for real? What is going on with this
Yeah.
person? And that I do both through Lyra, who's questioning her in one kind of way, and through Boone, who's questioning her in a very different way.
Yes.
And yeah,
Yeah,
so
and
I had fun playing with that. What's
I
going
love
on
that
with her?
because that they both like, through the reader through them were, "No, we gotta take her seriously." Like,
Yeah.
she's not some flowery ditz who was just having everything set in place for her. Like,
Yeah.
she's intuitive and she's
Is, and
yeah.
she's definitely integral to how they solve things, like, maybe she makes some poor choices and how she helps them solve them, but,
Right.
yeah, she's definitely part of the solving of things and, in various different ways, some good ways and some bad ways. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I always have fun with the secondary characters, they're always real people, so it's just, "Hey, how do I get to explore this one?"
I know, it's just like another yeah, for you as author, you're spending so much time with a certain amount of people, and you're like, "No, I need to, like, throw some more in here," and then you
Yeah,
gotta explore how that's gonna happen and what their personality traits and how that's gonna affect everything and the choices they make and the parts they play, and I imagine if it was just like a 3-book series with only Hades and Lyra, it would not be as impactful as
yeah,
it is. It's just
as awesome as they are as characters, I think their dynamic with other characters not only I think highlights different facets of their personalities, just like we as humans are. Like I am a very different person with my husband versus with my children versus with my best friends versus with and even of my best friends. I'm a very different
yeah,
person with each one just based on how our personalities and our interests and our what they bring out in
absolutely.
me and so that's the best part about I think about secondary characters. Plus, I frequently like to do spin-offs or give them their own stories, and I certainly do in my head. Even if it doesn't make it on the page, maybe it shows up just because I already
It's
have my
look at it almost I like to still as cliched as it is, it's like the iceberg, like, you have their whole background almost with every
yeah.
character, but this is their base, you have to know who they are inside and out, and then you could tell
Yep.
their story, like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%, I love it. Oh gosh, all of it, all is so complicated, I don't know how you, like, fit all that into your brain and then put words on paper about it, like, it's just
It's just chaos up here at all times.
Post-it notes everywhere,
Oh my
bunch of
OneNote.
tabs
I
open.
live in OneNote. All the notes, all the things go in there, and that's the only way. If it's not written down, it didn't happen.
Yeah, so is your, like, desktop background a nightmare to anybody who looks at it or
And no, it really is just OneNote that I put everything
okay.
into, and so that probably would be so I give classes on being an organized author, and I show people in real time, like, what my OneNote looks like and how I use it in various different ways for book bibles, for social media scheduling, that kinda stuff,
Yeah,
and in general, the feedback I get is that and it's like, I started using OneNote when I was still working at Intel, so we're talking, like, 20 years ago. And so it's 20 years of my entire life and all of my author life in notes form.
that's a little
Um,
intimidating for anybody who you're trying to show to
yeah,
start
"Hey, you
out.
should do this with it." And they're like, "I don't even know where to start." And I'm like, "Okay, here's how you do it."
You're like, "Ignore, like, 60% of this." I don't know.
I start the class with, "This is 20 years of notes. Don't get overwhelmed. Pick 3 or 4 things that you think would help with your personal style to keep you organized and try
Yeah,
them." Like, yeah, and then
yeah,
they go,
oh
"Oh,
god.
okay.
Yeah.
Breathe." Yeah.
I was gonna say, you said 55 titles, that's a lot. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, the characters and stories are popping into my head
I love
at
that.
all times, at
I
all
love that
times,
because
yeah.
I know, like, people ask me, like, "Oh, you, like, interview all these authors. Would you ever write a book?" I'm like, "No." I don't like, I'm good at receiving other people's creativity. I don't know. I've never that's never been an ambition of mine, and
Yeah,
I think there just so much of me that would wanna do such a good job, and I would just look at other people and be like, "Oh god, I cannot do that." And I'm content with that. I'm content with doing this and helping you guys, like, talk about it and promote it. This is so fun to me.
I love that because I couldn't do what you do, like, I'm like,
Oh,
I don't know how I would like, what questions to ask, yeah.
I'm very organized. I feel like I could almost do anything because 'cause I'm so organized, but I'm also
But Post-it notes, like, you've got, "Okay, I need to ask
I
about this,"
I do
and
I do have Google Tasks where I'm
yeah,
like, "Okay, this day, remind me to do this." Like, even if I'm like,
yep,
"Okay, post a review, make sure I have the episode edited and posted." So I
yeah,
can look or, "Okay, what's next week or 2 weeks from now? Interview. Okay, I'll make sure this is the next book I have to start if I wanna feel comfortable," rather than
yeah,
scrounging
talking
up and be like, "Oh shit, I gotta read this book because I do like to do that where I like to finish the book before I talk to you guys because I
which is
feel
awesome,
like
yeah.
it just adds to the
The
conversation.
conversation, yeah,
It
because you can really
does,
get in depth with it, yeah.
and so I've had so many authors who said the same thing where they're like, "I this is so exciting to talk to somebody who actually read it." Like,
I
it
actually read it,
yeah,
yeah,
because I know
because 'cause I'm
there's,
like,
like
I have been in my own little bubble of, "I hope it's good."
it is, it would just took a minute for me to be like, "What's going on?"
Yeah, yeah, because I have
But
to introduce the whole first of all, Tartarus, all the characters, and then be like, "And here's what's happening, only she's figuring it out as she goes, so she doesn't really know what's happening."
and we're in her POV,
Point
so
of view,
we're
yeah.
discovering it with her, so that's so
Yep,
that makes so much sense, but I was just that's I think that's, like, also how I approach books because 'cause I'm gonna, like, rate I don't wanna say judge, but I'm gonna rate a romance different than I rate, like, a historical fiction or a
sure.
suspense.
Yeah,
Like, romance
they've
is
got a very
romance.
different, yeah,
Yeah, like,
approach.
of course,
Yeah,
romance, you go there because 'cause you're gonna you know that what to expect, and you want a certain level of intimacy, or you want a certain level of, like, gushy and fluffiness. So you're gonna
you want the butterfly.
yeah, and but, like, at the same time, for me personally, I like plot, I like character development, and I also
Yep,
like open door sex scenes.
yep,
I like all that in one good package, like good writing. But there's also, like, a huge spectrum that in of itself. There's books
yep.
that I would feel comfortable recommending to my mom.
Yep, and some that you wouldn't. Yeah,
Nope.
oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Or when people
exactly.
are like, "Okay, which of your books can my 11-year-old read?" And I'm like, "None of the books, but your if once they're 16 to 18,
Right.
you can do Liar's Crown, you could maybe do games." Like, and then I'm like, "Okay, aim for 20."
Yeah, exactly. Because like, Liar's Crown, even I feel like, games, it's like, there's some spiciness and some pining and, like, dirty thoughts, but it's not, like, every chapter. It's not even every 2, 3 chapters.
They're
It
very slow
makes
burn. Yeah,
sense. It makes sense in how their relationships and their feelings are developing, and then
yeah,
but that's what kinda made me like, "Okay, where are the spicy scenes gonna hit in number 2?" Because we're looking at it like, because
yep.
poor
How are you
Lucifer.
gonna do that when they're
Yeah.
not Ah,
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. What I do wanna ask, this might be a weird question, maybe non-book related,
yeah.
kind of book related. What are you doing to take care of yourself while you're working on your craft?
That's a really good question. Just because that is a constant ongoing experiment and struggle for me in a whole host of different ways. Because 'cause I'm a mom, my kids are older now, that helps a lot and that they're a lot more
Yeah,
independent. One is off at college, the other is in high school,
the time go.
the independence, oh my gosh, seriously, I was not ready. I was not ready. He was ready. He was like, "Yeah, see ya," and
Bye.
I was not ready. And because I just don't feel like it's been that long yet. "No, this is you got a couple more years to go, like, you got" yeah, and he's no, been this many years. No.
Yeah,
So there's that element to it of having that. I'm lucky in that I don't also have a full-time job on top of this. I did when I started. I did for the first 5 years or so that I was doing this. I was also doing a full-time job. So it helps that this is just my one focus when it comes to work, but has been a challenge, I would say, is that so I put myself into really bad burnout. This is 5 years ago or so because we've mentioned 55 books and 3 pen names. That's because the romance genre as is voracious, which is fantastic. I'm just as voracious. I'm a reader before I'm even an author. But it means that as an author, you need to be getting out a minimum of 2 books a year just to continue to feed that appetite and remind readers that you exist.
yeah,
And because I had 3 pen names, I was minimum 2 books a year. I mean, sorry, 2 books a year per pen name, so 6 books a year minimum. And I burned myself out so hard.
yeah,
And so that turned into, okay, now I have to make the hard choice of, do I stop writing under all of these pen names? And I did choose to do that. Now I just write under the Abigail Owen pen name, so just the paranormal and fantasy romance space. And that was sometimes it's hard choices in order to take care of yourself. And now that I'm traveling as much as I am, what I'm learning is that I need more help. Now, I'm traveling as much as I am because games just really took my career to a whole different level. and I
Which
love
is
that
yeah, which is,
I
like,
have a hard time.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah, it's the most fun, like, it's the
yeah.
most fun,
But it's like
and
it brings a whole new yeah.
and I know that it's only gonna last so long, and so I wanna, like, just soak it in as much as I can, but and luckily, because it's happening because Games has done well, it means that I can afford to bring in help, and so that's one of the ways that I do it, but I'm also where I personally struggle, do you know the Strengths Finder?
I think so. I
Yeah,
think
it's
so.
another one of those, like, personality tests,
Yeah.
and it gives you, like, your top 10
I think
they've
I've
got, like, a
heard
whole
of
bunch
it
of them.
during my, soul searching phase.
Yeah. So I am a number 1 achiever is the strengths finder, which means that checking off the checklists and getting stuff done and feeling like I've achieved things is very much a driver for me, which means
Yeah.
I don't relax well. Like if I
No.
build in like I'm going to have a relaxation day on Sunday and then Sunday I'm like, what do I do with myself? I don't know what to I need like what do I do? to
I
Relax.
that
I don't
is
know.
me where I don't know what to do. If I'm, taking a break from reading or, doing stuff relating to this, I
Yeah.
don't know what to do.
I don't know what to do with myself.
I don't know how to
Exactly.
relax.
Yeah. So I've discovered puzzles. Puzzles
Yay.
seem to be the only thing that I can because I can
I've
put
I've
movie
tried
and a puzzle and
Legos.
Legos. Yeah, I could see that being similar
You
because
should yeah.
it's this
You're following
it's not that it's
directions and building
mindless, but it's
something.
one where you're not using quite so much energy, so
You're
it's
just reading
relaxing,
and
but
following directions, and you can, listen
yeah,
to an audiobook, listen to a podcast, listen to
exactly.
music, listen
Something
to,
beyond yeah.
exactly, background noise, whatever, and then you can look at it you build it, you could put it up in your shelf.
Yeah, exactly. So there's that, and then for me, it's also sleep, like making sure I get enough sleep, making sure I get enough exercise because this is such a
Oh, yeah.
sedentary,
Oh,
um,
yeah,
job.
especially with, remote work becoming so popular too,
Yeah,
it's yeah.
yeah, so it's okay, get up.
You're in Texas, I
Although
imagine, it's discouraging because it's maybe so hot.
it's so freaking hot. Yeah, so I go on a lot of walks but it means that for at least 6 months of the year, I have if I haven't walked by between 7 and 8 AM, I'm not going to, and usually, especially in the summer, I'm out there with an umbrella for shade, I've got, like, a fan on me, and I'm still just dying.
I was gonna say I'd
So
be out there with tank top and short shorts and a hat,
oh, yeah,
and my dog, she sees me put the gym shoes and the
stuff
hat
on,
on, she's
yeah.
like, "Hey, what's up? Where are
"Hey,
we going?"
is it time to go?" Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
in the
so
Chicago area, so, it still gets hot here, but it's not we get all
you
the
also get some
seasons.
it'll cool off at night
It
and
yeah,
yeah.
we get all the seasons and yeah.
Happens here. We have summer and 2 weeks of rain. That's what we get. Yeah. But
Hey,
yeah,
it's
so that was
building
a little bit of
character
a
for you.
yeah.
No wonder you had Marin being, from the area or whatever,
From the
saving
desert, I was like,
yeah.
"I understand the desert." Yeah.
That's so funny, I love that. I, just made that connection now.
Yeah, it's hot. There's a lot of sand.
She's
Not that
got
there's any sand where I live, but
I know,
it's
no,
hot.
but she's got it down, desert dry, yeah.
Yep.
That's so funny. I love no, I just I don't know, that I try to look at, other because I know with authors, when we have a conversations, we tend to just get into other tangents, but I feel like that's important to, explore what you guys are doing to just
Well, and I like to
balance.
tell that to I try to be very open about that burnout phase, just because I want other authors to be aware. Because when you are part of what drove that was I love writing, and so I wanna write all the things. If I could write in every subgenre of romance, I would if I
I
had the
was
time.
gonna say that was what gonna be one of my other questions, if you
Oh, yeah.
ever were gonna dabble into any other
I would
genre.
absolutely. Yeah, my other 2 pen names were one was sweet contemporary romance and one was steamy contemporary romance, and so, yeah, I would absolutely have gone into historical romance and, various other subgenres, dark romance, I love them all. I just don't have enough time in the day, and then also, when you're an author, at least for me, my experience was that I had to hustle. I had to hustle for years and say yes to everything possible and do all the things
Oh,
and try all
yeah.
the things and to get there. And so I want to make sure newer authors who are still just starting to figure this out, hey, burnout can happen. It's okay. You've got to just figure out your way. You don't have to write as fast as this person. Whatever speed you write is fine. Take care of yourself to guard your mental health.
It's so real and it's such a thing, and I love that the
Yeah.
conversation is more open now.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
especially the mental health aspect to it. I think that's
Yeah.
something that that is
Because I know I
really
we can't that's like the double-edged sword of, like, social media or just, like, having such open, like, a view of everybody else's life is we're comparing
yeah.
ourselves, but nobody's posting their
You're
failures.
comparing it to the yeah, I'm showing you all the fun that I'm having. I
Yeah,
didn't show you the where at 1 o'clock I was like, "I can't stay awake any longer," because
but it's real. People
yeah.
like you or, like, other even people like me. I'm not saying I'm a successful podcaster, I'm like a little baby thing, but people who are huge, like, they've spent the overnights, late nights, early mornings,
Yeah.
like,
There's so
hustling
much
and
that
all
goes on
that.
behind it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's
There's
just
a
it
whole there now, for
any
sure.
industry, like, it takes what it
Yep.
takes. It's
Especially in an industry where you get a lot of rejection, you hear a lot of no, and then you also have this very public I spent things a lot hours and years and weeks and days of my life on this creative thing
yes.
that people can then I am very much a believer in everybody's opinion is their opinion. They have every right to say it out loud, but it means that I have to have a thick skin
Yes.
to face the people who didn't like the books, which there's
Yeah.
always gonna you can't
Yeah.
please everybody, not everything is for everybody. It's the nice thing I think about books is that there's something for everybody, and hopefully more and more somethings for everybody out there as we go along,
I imagine, like,
and
with your, like, yeah, your years of experiences, like, even like,
oh,
maybe you've got that down, but maybe it's still, like, you have to remind yourself.
it still stings when I see one or so I tend to have I've gotten pretty good with when I see reviews of compartmentalizing them.
I was gonna say you're not supposed to read reviews of your books.
I read them
Isn't that, like, a rule, like, amongst
That's true.
authors?
I don't read all of them. I especially read the earlier ones just to make sure I feel like I was on track, if that makes any
Sure,
sense.
yeah,
And then once I feel like I've seen, like, a pretty good sampling of the reviews that are coming in, I go, "Okay, this is how it went." And that also, in general, by doing that, gives me a pretty good average of, yeah, this person hated it, but most of the people liked it. So that was more about so, yeah, I tend to compartmentalize. Like, I'm pretty good at seeing through the words of the reviews, "Oh, this just wasn't the book for this person, and that's okay."
or maybe
You
just,
know,
like, at the very least, identifying common threads.
or common threads.
Yeah,
And then every once in a while, I'll get ones where I'm like, "Really good note," and I'm gonna keep that in the back of my mind as I move forward as an author because 'cause I'm always trying to grow as
yeah,
an author and get better at my craft. Or if I see similar bits of feedback, okay, I that's something maybe if especially if I'm mid-series, let me try to address that, like in book 3 or whatever. So
yeah.
there's that piece to it, and then otherwise, I generally try to just look at the good reviews and have those just feed my soul.
Yeah, just a little beef you up, a reassurance and be
Just
like,
so
"Am I
okay,
on the
there
right
are people
track?"
out there that
Like,
this
yeah.
touched in
Like,
a good way,
something
so
that, like, almost like, something that I always talk about, I think is hilarious with authors of they'll when they do the research, they'll fall down a rabbit hole
oh,
and
rabbit holes are the
of
best.
something that will be, like, 4 sentences, the entire book, but it's, like, that's kinda what that reminds me of. It's, "Oh, like, I put a lot of care into this one thing, and it meant something to a handful of people." That's yeah. And it's but especially, like, something we're not right now where the book hasn't released yet, you still got
Yeah.
a little bit of a month to
Oh,
go.
I'm always so nervous with every release,
Yeah.
so nervous, and I think even the nerves are different for the first book in a series versus later books in a series, because with the first book, you're like, "Oh, I hope this hits with readers. I hope that this starts off a good new relationship with readers." With later books in a series, it's I want to make sure that I am the reader's expectations. If they loved the first book, I really want them to love the second and third, or many books there are in the series just as much because that's, "Oh, you loved it, so I don't wanna let them down." And so then I've got it's a different set of nerves where I'm like, "Okay, please love it, please."
Yeah, it's again, like, you have an established reader base, and they're, like,
Yeah,
looking out for your name, and then you're like, "Oh, shit, pressure's on."
please, yeah.
Yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
So, but all of that adds up, yeah, to I think a lot of pressure on writers, which is any job you're gonna face some kind of element of pressure like that, but yeah, you've gotta guard your mental health in the ways that you need to. I've got author friends who are like, "I never look at reviews, I just can't."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Roll with it." The only I don't know why I've got such a thick skin. I think it's yeah, Bob the Builder
Well,
just steps
what,
in every
50
time.
titles, I think that would do it.
There's that too, yeah. There's that too, where I'm like, well, and the majority of the reviews at this point are positive across my books, and so I'm like, I'm a good writer for whatever, 75% of the readers out there that
Yeah.
pick up my books, so that to me is okay. I'm okay, I know what I'm
Just
doing.
yeah, follow your instinct, follow your
Yeah.
groove,
Which
and
is really hard to do when you're first getting started because you that confidence
oh, yeah.
is yeah. And even then, I'm like, especially for instance with Things Gods Break, because it was such a big challenge. I gave myself such a big challenge with this book. I was like, I could really have. messed up the challenge, you know what I mean? And so
It's
there's
yeah,
that.
you took a good risk. I don't
I
wanna say it was a big risk, but I feel like it was a good, meaningful risk
good.
because it's like it is where I'm like, we get it's almost it's like repeating the first book, but also a new perspective on the first book, but it's not
Yeah.
repeating the first book. It
Yeah, it's
is,
so
like,
different.
straight up, it's taking things to the next level,
Yeah.
and I appreciate that you never had to do that before, really, in that quite that fashion, and you
Yeah.
went for it, and you took I could tell you took the care, you took the time, and I could tell you had fun with it, with the
I had
little
so much fun with it, but it
"Shut
was
up,
very, like
Oedipus," or whatever, like
yeah, yeah, but it's shut up.
I love that was such, like, a running joke where it was like I was like, "Why did they hate him so much?" And then it was like, whatever,
He's
how
just
many
pleasant.
300 pages later,
Yeah, you're like,
everybody's
"Alright."
on board, "Shut up!"
I was like every time they're in a scene together, I'm like, "What can the Yepida say now?"
And he's just I don't know, yeah, we've all had that friend. It's, "Dude, read the room." Like
Yeah. Keep keep it to yourself. That's an inside thought.
I love it, I love it. That was so funny. It was like, again, like inserting like little just you gotta find that flow, but you also gotta break into the seriousness and keep that humor in there. I love
Yeah,
it. I love it. That's
thank
so
you.
funny. Oh my god, I'm taking up so much of your time.
No
Okay,
worries, this is so
just
fun.
let's see. I'm gonna ask this. What can readers expect out of the finale?
So, yeah, you're right, that's a hard question to answer because, again, spoilers, because of where book 2 ends, and yes, it does end on a cliffhanger. Really, it is tying everything up because I've left a lot of unanswered questions and put them into another situation where it's like, how the heck are they gonna fix this? There will still be a trials element to it in book 3 so that each of the books has that, but in a very different way for each one, for very different reasons every time. And yeah, figuring out who the big bad is will be a lot of fun. I've
I was so stumped. I was like, "Okay, we're gonna see more trials, like more competition." And then I was like, I'm not onto you. I have no
Who is
idea."
the big bad?
Yep.
Yeah. And originally, I will say originally in the epilogue, I actually named the big bad, and then we were
You
like, "You know what? No, let's make it more mysterious."
Yeah, I
And
can imagine that was a big decision where you're like, "Should we name this person so that they know or
yeah.
no?"
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Decided
feel
to
like
go
it'd
with
go
the
either
mystery.
way.
Oh,
It could go
yeah.
either
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And
Ah!
and so, yeah, figuring out who that is and how to deal with them and deal with the entire world that still, for the most part, believes the lies. Yeah, so it's wrapping it all up, and I do promise, because I am a romance writer first, a happily ever after for Lyra and Hades. If you've read any of my other series, you know that might not be true for all the side characters.
Ah! I'm gonna be during the heartbreak slash pull at the heartstrings that you've done in book 2. I would like to say I'm prepared for it, but then again, by the time I get to book 3, I will forget. It might be
You're like,
it will be
"Oh,
it'll
yeah."
be like scaled back a bit when we're any cliffhanger where we're like, oh, like we remember the emotion, but then we had sometimes let it marinate. And then
Yep.
and then we're like, we forget the emotion that the intensity that we felt. So that I feel like that was like how I with the games got into play where I was like,
Like,
ah! And then when I
"What?"
finally got to it, I was so excited. But yeah, it was like missing that instant
Yeah.
emotion. So I'm feeling it now, but I feel like by the
Yeah.
time you release number 3, I'm gonna be the same boat. Okay, let's go. But I'm gonna be like,
Yeah.
oh wait, what? Arr!
I'll also be really curious once book 3 comes out to see readers who get at the series once the whole series is out and can actually, like, binge through the whole thing and how what their experience is like compared to
Yes.
readers that had to wait a year between
Yes,
books.
I know. That's a whole thing. I think that was, like, almost with the previous series that we talked about, it was, like, the shadows were all, like, when
Yeah.
I think it was, like yeah, it was, like, oh, I had already read book 1, and then I'm, like, reading book 2 when book 3 is about to come out, so I was, like yeah, that's what that reminds me of. I was
Go
like,
right
"Oh, I
into
gotta
it.
pick it back
Yeah.
up." Yeah. and where I'm, like, mad, but I'm like, "I could get that satisfaction." But now with this, I'm like, "No, it's a downside." As much
You're
as I
right.
appreciate the opportunities of reading art
You
and
read
all
so
that.
many books in between that you're like, "Wait, remind me who these characters were and where we were." Like, you've got a
Exactly.
vague yeah, oh, yeah,
Exactly.
ironically, I'm one of those people that I wait for the whole series, like, I collect the books as they come out, and I wait for the whole series to be complete so that I can binge it all in one shot. I'm one of those people, but as an
I
author,
think you
I'm like,
also told me that
"Hey."
you read, like, the ending to see if you actually
I
wanna
do.
spend time, and then I think the real last
I'm
conversation
gonna
we
spend all these
had.
hours, I wanna know that it ends the way I want it to end. Yeah, I'll read usually the first, like, however, 10% usually of the first book is gonna tell me if I'm really gonna be into a book or a series, and then I'm like, "Okay, now let me go see now I know how it's set up, let me go see how it completely ends." I do the same thing, by the way, with all of my, like, TV dramas and movies and things. I'm like, "I'm gonna watch it first."
You wait
So
until it's out.
and then I go to the last episode and I see how it ends, and I'm like,
Oh
"Okay,
my
now I can
gosh,
spend the time watching this whole thing."
that's
But as an
hilarious.
author, then I'm like, "Hey, wait a year, good luck."
You're like, "Do as they say, not as I do." Or
Pretty much.
does it drive your husband nuts? He's gotta wait to watch things or until you're ready?
No, because he'll watch it if he's really into it, he'll just watch it on his own schedule, and then we talk about it later, and so he's not too bad about it. I will say that I'm worse with it with K-dramas than I am with more
Okay,
American style dramas because they're very different in their setup. They have a
okay,
very with American dramas, they can go on for seasons and
sure.
seasons, whereas K-dramas are usually 16 episodes, and then it's like a full story, complete story in one shot, and so you first of all, you don't have to wait nearly as long to get all the all the seasons, but also because it is a complete story in that lineup, like, then that's why I wanna know what the ending is versus,
So
like,
what
American dramas that take so
okay,
long.
so what I think the only if when you say K-drama, I'm
Yeah.
thinking Squid Game. Is that
Squid Game's considered kind of a K-drama, so, like, that definitely it's obviously a
that's the only
Korean
because 'cause I'm like with that
drama.
mainstream, like, I get the hype, and then I'm like, "Okay, let's check it out." And then
Yeah,
so are
yeah.
there any K-dramas that you are into that you, like, really
So
recommend?
K-dramas are like my and it's all the romance ones that I watch. I'm into all the romance K-dramas, and you can start the Netflix has a whole host of them. I always recommend the gateway K-drama be Business Proposal because it's on Netflix, and most people in general I talk to that have Netflix, and it's this adorable, like, mistaken identity, boss employee romance. It's really cute, and it's also got a really good secondary romance to it. But yeah, for me, it's all the romances. They just like with I would say like your contemporary romance books, there's a little bit of a formula to how it works out, but they can get also really creative. But what I love about them is that it is a contained season 1 season, 16 episodes, you get a full versus having to wait, like with American dramas, if there's a romance included in there, it
Yeah,
may or may not like, those characters and
they
those
drag it
actors go
on.
off and do other things, they kill them off or they do whatever, or it takes 40 fricking seasons for them to, like, actually end up getting together, and so it's a very different setup. I like having the whole romance in one shot.
Like, if you could pick it up at, like, season 2 and it'd be fine, is what you're saying? Or
But they don't even have a season 2, like, that is the
oh,
story, so
there's
it's
like a
almost like a
mini
mini series.
series?
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah. So every once in a while, something will have a season 2 or, like, they'll spin off maybe one of the secondary characters and they get a romance,
I could
and
understand how that's, like, really digestible, where you're like, "No, this is what I'm getting."
yeah,
Like yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's like reading yeah, and I think that's why I like them as much as I do is that I get that complete story in a relatively short amount of time, like, I'm not it's not quite as much of a time dedication as these American dramas,
What was
where,
it
like I
called?
said, more often than not, they screw up all those romances. Poor
What was it
Meredith Grey.
called?
For the one on Netflix, it's called Business Proposal,
Business Proposal, and it's a
and then,
K-drama.
I have the subscription to Viki, Viki.com, which has a whole ton
So you
more
are in it. You are,
well, I'm in
like,
it,
genre
and
specific.
the K-dramas, but it also has the Chinese dramas and the Thai dramas, and
Okay.
yeah, and it's yeah, and I've
'Cause
been this was how I got through my burnout was the K-dramas, like,
oh,
that was, like,
okay.
my, like,
That does sound like a good, like, just
warming escape.
yeah, like, heartwarming, like, you don't have to, like, use your brain too much and
Yeah, and I know they're gonna have a happy at the end most of the time. Every once in a while, one fools me, which is why I started watching the endings just to make sure. I was like, "That's not happy," and I'm kind of like
That's so I forgot. No, you watch the ending and you're like, "Nah, fuck that shit." Like, you
yeah, I'm not spending 16 hours of my life if this is how they're gonna end.
that's legit. That's a legit process where you're like, "No, my time is precious. I
Well, and
gotta."
the Chinese dramas tend to be longer. They tend to be more like 30 to 40 episodes, and so you're really
That's a
spending some
lot.
time on those, but yeah, still less,
Are
by the
those
way,
are
than American.
like how long are the episodes?
They can be 30 minutes to an hour.
Oh god, that's such a
So
time
you can spend
commitment.
40 hours, that's more of a commitment,
'Cause
yeah.
my husband, he follows One Piece, and that's a commitment. That's at least last time I knew, it was like 600 episodes or
Yeah,
whatever.
I don't
But
think I
those are,
can
like, short those are kinda short
yeah,
episodes, yeah. But
yeah,
I don't know,
yeah.
I just remember that he got into it right when, like, our first was born, and so a lot of the downtime of just, like, being lazy and being
Yeah,
new parents, he
yeah,
was just
where you're like,
powering through One Piece, and yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, so I no, God, I know, but I also respect the fact that you get so hooked and you're
you
like, "Nope,
do.
click next, next."
Oh, yeah. And for me, it's still being immersed in story and culturally a different way to tell stories. So I really appreciate their storytelling methods. And they also a lot of them are either historical dramas or can be fantasy dramas. So seeing like a different approach or a different history that I get to learn
Yeah,
in a different part of the world is always fascinating to me. And
that
just
is
get myself in story.
I share that. The more historical fiction I read, the more I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
'cause
And
it's so cool.
I
Yeah,
want it from other parts of the world now, like, I've got a very Europeanized, Americanized
yes.
history, like, I've got those down. I'd like to see other parts of the world, please. I'd like to
Yeah,
know
where
those,
you
yeah.
have no idea what's going on. Yeah, yeah, 'cause you're like, you see, like, a watered down version of certain things, and now you're like,
Yeah.
"No, let's see what's
Wait,
something
no,
that,
it was
like."
this king that did da 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 that
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna do this to you again. Abigail Owen, what advice do you have for Lyra? What advice do you have for Hades?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think my advice for them going into book 3 is going to be the same for both of them, which is really hold on to and trust each other because there's no other way that you're gonna get through what I'm about to put you through.
I love the idea that they're just sitting there, like, listening to you say that, and they're like,
Oh, yeah. They're in my head. I have an image of Hades that is on my computer screen that greets me every time I sign in, and every single morning, I'm like, "Good morning, Hades."
"Guess what's gonna happen today?"
Yeah, and he's not happy in that image either.
He's, "Okay, Abigail, what?"
It's the image that inspired and unfortunately, I bought it before I realized it was an AI image, so it's not an image I can share with people, but it is the image that inspired for what he's doing in that very final scene
Book 2? Book 1.
of book 2 when
Okay.
he's in the throne.
So you gotta just, like, outsource an artist to
To do a recreation of that or something, yeah, because yeah, I was
and then
so
that'll be
upset
your
when
new
I found out that
background.
it was AI, I was like, "Damn it, no,"
Yeah.
because that was such a that really was a major inspiration point, like, I would look at it every day and be like, "Okay, this is the end goal of where we're headed."
Yeah, I would say definitely outsource it just for your own, like, replacement greeting
Yeah,
to your
exactly.
desktop so that you
Yeah,
could, like, comfort and then you could be
I think that's
like,
a fantastic idea, I've got an artist who's done a lot of my character art for the book, and I need to reach out to her and see if she'd be able to
yeah,
do something with that.
whatever you can work out because I feel like that would definitely make you feel better at least on
Yeah,
your
and just show her,
personal.
like, because it's not the whole image, there's elements of the image that I'm like, "I just need this, everything else you can please play and have fun with."
Oh, that's so fun. Are we ever gonna see it, like, publicly?
If I can get her to do a version of it that I think captures the same kind of raw
Yeah.
power and fury, then yeah.
Yeah, that was, definitely a powerful last 10 or 15 pages where it was just like, "What's going on?" But then it was
Yeah.
just like, I don't know, again, their attitude towards it, I was like, "Alright, maybe it's gonna be okay." And, like, I'm just really leaving all of my expectations onto Hades and just be like, "Okay, boo. Okay,
Yeah.
boo. You
You
said
got
you
this.
got it. You said
We're gonna
whatever."
pretend like you got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I tried to give this because there's, like, obviously a cliffhanger at the end of the book, but I tried to give this one a little more hope, if that makes any sense of, "Yeah, this sucks, and we're gonna have to figure it out," and
Compared to the end of book 1,
yeah.
nobody knew what the fuck to do.
That cliffhanger in book 1.
So
Definitely.
maybe that's why I feel, like, a little bit more confident. No, they'll
They'll
get it.
figure it out.
They'll
Yeah,
get it.
yeah. At least they're both alive.
Exactly. Okay, so Abigail Owen, where can we find you online and on social media?
So I am the easiest place is to go to my website, which is abigailowen.com. That's Owen, not Owens. everybody always wants to put an S on the end of it. So just in case. And then from there, it goes to all my socials. I am probably most active on Instagram, TikTok, and then I have a Facebook group called Abby's Awesome Nerds where I tend to interact a lot more, and then a weekly newsletter as well. So you can find all of those on my website.
Perfect. Okay, The Things Gods Break, that is the sequel to The Games Gods Play. The Things Gods Break by Abigail Owen, that releases on October 21st. Abigail, such a long and enjoyable
Yes,
conversation.
this was
We
so fun.
thank you for again your answers and for tiptoeing with me and entertaining my tangents, our tangents,
Oh,
and
yeah, we both squirrel.
squirrel ice cream truck,
Oh my gosh, that was hilarious.
And if and when you're ready to think about book 3, reach out. I'd love to chat again.
Absolutely, I would absolutely love that.
And there you go. That was Abigail Owen talking about The Things Gods Break that comes out on October 21st. Check out the show notes to see links where you can find Abigail online on social media and where to purchase the book. In the show notes, you will also see where to find Cantina Book Club on your favorite social media book communities, such as Bookstagram, Book Talk, BookTube, Threads, Facebook, and more. And I would love and appreciate it if you could hit that follow or subscribe button so that you never miss out on book reviews and author interviews. If you have any book loving friends who are looking to get more out of their reading lists, please share Cantina Book Club with them so that they can find upcoming releases and interviews with authors. Another way to help this podcast is to head over to your favorite podcast player and give Cantina Book Club a rating and a review. It helps me to reach more potential listeners and fellow book lovers like you. And that goes for any podcast you listen to. It's one of the easiest things you can do to help out and help them reach more listeners. If you need book recommendations, you can reach out to me. I'm always excited to share my recent favorites, or you can head on over to cantinabookclub.com to read more in-depth book reviews of all types of genres. While you're at it, you can subscribe by entering your email on the website so that you could get new reviews and episode posts delivered directly to your inbox. If you want to support Cantina Book Club even more, you could donate by finding the forum on cantinabookclub.com. Whether it's a one-time donation or as little as $1 a month, I seriously appreciate the support and will share my appreciation by giving you a shout out and maybe sending you a little something special. And finally, one of the best ways to help authors promote their works is to head on over to Amazon, Goodreads, wherever you rate your books and give the title you've read a rating and a review. It's free and it helps out almost as much as purchasing the book and, of course, tagging on social media. Thanks so much for listening, and I will see you next time. Cheers.